Hey, Jamie Stenhouse here, currently on top of the Swiss Alps, as you can probably tell from the attire that I'm currently wearing. And I want to share an insight about, how to really turn information into execution. And just from what I've seen from doing courses on my own, from having my own coaches, from coaching other people who come through my programs, and just to share some insights about how to get the maximum return on investment when it comes to your education, if it be a formal education or if it be through an online course or a live event. So, as a lot of you are probably well aware, I do have my own online courses ranging from internet marketing to email campaigns, traffic, advertising, and pretty much anything that is linked to how to generate customers online. And when I look over these students that have been the most successful and the ones that have gone through the course but not actually executed on a high enough level, there's a lot that sets them apart. But I think the primary one, and the one that I look for whenever I do education or whenever I do a course or whenever I brush up my skills, which is quite often, I usually do 3 or 4 courses at least per year. Despite being on top of my game with internet marketing, I'm always constantly learning and constantly expanding. And whenever I go into a course at the current stage of my life, I always look at it through a single lens. So what I mean by that is that when I first began doing courses when I was 18, 19, 20, I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of ideas and I had a lot of connections. And whenever I would go to a course or I would have a new idea or a new concept presented to me, I didn't have one lens to filter it through. I tried to capture as much information as possible and just try to generally learn try to genuinely learn everything I can from this one experience, if it be an online course, live event, or coaching program. Okay, so what's changed is that now I have my agency. So whenever I learn anything, whenever I go into a course or whenever I'm trying to learn anything, I look at through the filter of that and ask myself, well, how will this help the agency? As opposed to going, well, that's quite cool, I'll write that down for later, or I'll tell my friend about it, or maybe I can start a new project using that idea. You see, so there's so much information out there that if you don't have a lens, if you don't have a clear filter to apply it to or to look at it through, then you'll simply get information overload. You won't know what to actually apply, what to not apply, and probably will end up executing. So the best thing to do is to have a single lens or a single filter or even a single project that you go, you know what, I'm going to this course and I'm only going to apply it to this one thing rather than trying to learn as much as I can, or rather than just trying to write down every single word that this speaker is talking about. Okay, and the other thing that helps out as well is whenever you go into an online course or a training program or anything like that, you want to begin the program knowing what your problem is. Okay, now clearly defined problems are amazing whenever you enter a course, because when you actively are aware of what you're trying to solve primarily, then it's a lot easier to consume the content and to apply it to the problem and to look for the solution rather than just going from the whole course from the beginning to the end because it sounded cool or because the sales copy was really good. You're actually now actively looking for 3 or 4 points to solve a certain problem that is linked through your lens. So example would be, if I'm doing a course that is going to help me with the agency, then I might have 4 or 5 key problems that I know I currently have in the agency and that I think the course has, but I'm trying to look for it within the course. I'm taking the information, I'm going, well, does this help with that problem? No, then do not write it down, do not worry about it. I will come back to it later if I need it, So I'm not trying to hang on to everything. I'm simply filtering all the information through a single lens, a single project. As before, when I had the clothing company, the design agency, my personal brand, and the agency, it was just, it was a mess. I was reading a lot, which is great. You should always be reading, but you want to be applying it through one thing. So when you read a book, what problem was that book trying to solve, rather than just continually reading for the sake of reading? What notes are you going to apply to which project? How are you going to filter it through what you're currently working on rather than just store information on the shelf, right? So look at every education, every information piece you get and filter it through one project. Look at it and go, well, how does this help with my current project right now? So rather than just going into a course without having any idea or any project or any filter to just learn what you don't know, go into it with clearly defined problems. What are you trying to solve? What problems do you think you'll have in the future, in the immediate future? Or what problems are you having right now? And look at it through one project. So don't think of new projects to start. Don't think of new ideas. Don't get too inspired that you drop what you're doing and you can't change course immediately. Look at it through the lens of one project and apply it to that one thing. It's all about that one thing, especially when it comes to education. So whenever you take on information, if it be a blog article or a high-end training course, go into it looking for your problems to solve, obviously, and look at it through one thing. So how does this course help X? My agency, my personal development, my health, blah, 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 right? You want to look at it through one thing rather than, how can I look for new opportunities? How can I, help a friend who's not at the course with some notes, right? Look at it through the lens of one filter, one project, and you'll find it will be less overwhelming and you'll be able to execute a lot quicker simply because you're only looking at it through one lens rather than 3, 4, or even 5 lenses, which is what I used to do when I first began in entrepreneurship. So that's my thoughts about how to take information, turn it into execution a lot quicker, simply by just being aware and having a clearly defined plan or having a clearly defined project that you want to apply the information towards. I like to call that your lens. So look through the lens when you're doing your training, when you're learning, and see how does this apply to that thing directly right now with the problems I have. Don't get overwhelmed, don't think too far ahead, work in the present moment and push through your current challenges with what you have at hand.